A WWE star has revealed to the company that they're leaving the company. Also, a WWE star has invaded a indie show. And plus, we're going to talk about some surprises for WWE NXT Battleground. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ango Show. I, of course, am Ango, and I want to kick things off with Brooks Jensen. I love what they're doing with Brooks Jensen. It has become a very big part of the internet wrestling community because Brooks Jensen has obviously been teasing quite a few issues with the WWE. He's been showing up at NXT house shows uninvited. There's a storyline in play, and WWE just found a way to make it a little bit better. And that is because Brooks Jensen just appeared at an indie wrestling show in Georgia. It was the Bullpen Professional Wrestling Show. It took place last night, June 8th. And this guy straight up invaded an indie show. And, you know, here's the thing, guys. There are some similarities between Brooks Jensen and the storyline that he currently has in comparison to Jack Perry. They are slightly different. You know, and I want to say this. I really like Brooks Jensen. I like what they're doing. I like the fact that he ruffled some feathers to the commentary team this past week on NXT. I have zero idea what this is going to lead to, but one of the common questions that I'm currently seeing online, or maybe even in my comment section, is why is WWE doing this more on the internet than they actually are on television? And I think that is simply WWE understanding that wrestling fans, and especially the NXT audience, pays very close attention to what is being said and being done online. Now, I don't think it is apples to apples comparison, but I do like the idea of comparing it to the QR codes in the Wyatt 6. It's a long-term way of teasing that something is happening, something is brewing, something is cooking. And WWE is kind of taking that same mentality and applying it right here to Brooks Jensen. Now, I will be the first to admit, I loved the Brooks Jensen, Josh Briggs, and Fallon Henley faction. Like, I liked that trio. And for some reason, WWE decided to split them up. And it was really hard to say for a while, like, hey, what are they doing with this kid? You know? And I even said it on Twitter. I said it on here. I didn't even know if it was a work or not until sources came out and said that it is, in fact, part of a storyline. Brooks Jensen is one of the most loved people backstage at the Performance Center. WWE is very high up on this kid. He's young. He's talented. Guys, I think this kid has so much potential. And it's so cool to see a WWE star go to an indie show. Obviously, WWE approves of it. And now there's videos circulating of him at the show. Again, it just furthers this narrative that he has issues with WWE, and they're turning that into a storyline. What are they going to do? I genuinely have no idea. Really think we might see something at Battleground today. I don't know, but it is something to pay attention to. Speaking of Battleground, there's obviously a lot of talk and a lot of excitement about NXT Battleground, and one of the things that have been specifically said to me is that WWE does have some plans to add some surprise elements to the show. Now, what's really interesting is there has been a lot of talk in the last few days about TNA stars who have wanted to come to NXT and TNA stars that WWE NXT are wanting to bring in. And it got me really thinking about NXT Battleground, and it really got me thinking about the future of this partnership, because two of the names that were very intriguing to me was Leon Slater, which young rising star from the UK, TNA brought him in. A lot of potential for this kid. And then, of course, Josh Alexander. And it kind of got me thinking, obviously, Josh Alexander, he is an incredible part of TNA. I love everything that he's done in TNA. The fact that he went from a tag team wrestler to X Division to then becoming a world champion and actually holding it down. Guys, it doesn't get better than that. And I think what makes it so much more even intriguing is the fact that his former tag team partner is currently in WWE NXT. And yes, I am talking about Ethan Page. Now, obviously, if WWE wants to keep a surprise factor for Battleground, there is a great opportunity with Ethan Page and Josh Alexander. And there is that match between Ethan Page and obviously Trick Williams for the NXT Championship. So I just want to put this out there. I have no idea what the surprise is going to be. For all we know, it could be UFC involvement because obviously it is taking place at the UFC Apex. It could be a variety of things. But I do actually look forward to watching NXT Battleground. I think there's a lot of hype for this pay-per-view. Just in general, the build has been outstanding. But what makes it even more better is the fact that WWE is really trying to implement surprises into the show. And obviously, I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but I do think there could be some involvement from TNA. Again, I've been told that there are potential surprises being planned for the show. And obviously, it makes a lot of sense considering the last 2 weeks, WWE from a backstage perspective is also trying to build and make it very obvious that there could in fact be some surprises coming to NXT. So I'm very excited about it. I want to see how they go about this. Ethan Page winning, losing, I don't know. Very intrigued by it, and it just makes it more incentivized to watch the pay-per-view or premium live event. Ricochet has let the company know that he does not plan to re-sign with the company and that he will let his contract expire. And my God, I don't know why this is so controversial at all. I want to give you guys my breakdown because I don't think people, especially on Twitter, I think YouTube, I think you guys understand a little bit more, but I think Twitter is the most interesting place in the world because I literally I put out the tweet, and of course this one is picking up steam, and I say, hey, how do you have Ricochet on your roster and barely use him? And really what that comes down to is, yeah, I understand Ricochet at one point was the Intercontinental Champion. I understand that he tag teamed with Braun Strowman. I understand that he was the WWE Speed Champion. I understand that he's currently on TV with Ilya Dragunov and Braun Breaker. But what has he done that's been memorable in the WWE? And what has WWE done with Ricochet to make me believe that WWE truly believes in him? Aside from his NXT run, there's really not much to say. Now listen, I am not going to sugarcoat this whatsoever. If you don't like this, you don't like this, but this is the honest to God way that I feel. Ricochet is a hell of a performer. And I understand that Ricochet doesn't have a strong promo. And I say this respectfully, but he doesn't. In my opinion, I don't think Ricochet cuts a great promo. I don't think Ricochet convinces me as a character. But at the same time too, especially with Triple H's vision for the WWE, he has a balance of really good wrestling and really good characters. And even under Triple H's leadership, I felt like Ricochet could be doing a lot more than he ever did. And yes, I was obviously very excited to see what comes from Ilya Dragunov and Braun Breaker getting involved, but ultimately, we'll never know because Ricochet is leaving. Now, on the flip side of that, if you guys are somebody who has watched my content in the last 3 years, since 2021, I have made it very clear that Tony Khan is not good whatsoever at signing talent and utilizing talent. And signing Ricochet for the first few months will lead to some really good matchups. And yes, obviously, the inevitable Will Ospreay versus Ricochet. It's going to happen. It's going to be exciting, and the AEW fans will love it. But I am not going to sit here. As much as I criticize WWE in this tweet, I want to make it very clear, I do not think the grass is greener on the other side for Ricochet when it comes to actually being elevated to a higher level. I want Tony Khan to prove me wrong, but I have no faith in Tony Khan to prove me wrong. And if that offends you, I hate to say this, but that's not an opinion based on a biasness. That's an opinion based on what I have watched on AEW television for the last 3 years. Now I'm spitting facts. A lot of people have signed with AEW, and the start is very good, and then eventually they're tucked away in the corner. And yes, I do believe that will happen to Ricochet. Now, ultimately, at the end of the day, there was a lot of people who told me previously, oh, he won't leave WWE because Samantha Irvin is in WWE. And I tried to explain to people that is not a big deal. Ricochet is at the age in his life for a prime opportunity where he can continue to be on TV and get paid a lot of money and work for another company and work with friends. Ultimately, there is nothing wrong with that, and I don't hate the idea of him going to AEW, but I will not pretend that going to AEW makes anything better long-term in comparison to WWE. To me, this is a lateral move. It's not up, it's not down, and you guys just have to live with that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.